held on Treaty 6 territory in the homeland of the Métis. We extend our gratitude to those who came before us and have called this ancestral land home for generations. We respect and honor the treaties, reaffirm our relationships with one another, and move forward together in the spirit of truth and collaboration. We call to order at 7 p.m. That the agenda for the September 8th, 2025 meeting be approved as amended or presented and attached to form part of the said minutes. Okay. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. Anything from administration to add? Council? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. The minutes of the August 11th, 2025 regular meeting of council and the minutes of the August 29th, 2025 special meeting be approved as presented. Blair. Everybody's had a chance to review those minutes. Any errors? All those in favor? Carried. That the financial statements for the period ending July 31st, 2025 be approved as presented. Oh, yeah, I went very used to grab my papers. Sorry, Jeff. Thank you.
I don't know if she doesn't want to be here.
Yeah. We do have Thea as a delegation tonight. It's our first one in a long time, too. Welcome.
Long time. Here you go.
That's fine.
Yes, I can. Okay. Dear Mayor and Council, the Nutrition for Kids is an organization working towards healthy living and nutrition for children and provides a breakfast program at our Park Elementary School. To assist in funding for the breakfast program, our organization accesses money from the Ministry of Education. However, the high food costs related to this breakfast program for our hungry children needs to be included in the rates. For the past 20 years, MSK has organized a very successful community campaign called Feed It Kid, to involve the Chamber of Commerce, local businesses, churches, and service groups. Each year, money is raised by our community to support the breakfast program for hungry children in Nicolin. We are requesting the council declare the month of October Feed a Kid Month in our community to help raise awareness of child hunger. We thank you for your support with this worthy fundraiser, Yours in Health for Children, Nicolin Nutrition for Kids board member. I did bring some numbers for you guys. Last year, between our two elementary schools, we served 7,321 breakfasts. Wow. Some days were more than others. I think one of our Wagner had one day towards the end of the year where they were serving 43 breakfasts. In the morning, there's just, by the end of the school year, sometimes the money runs out. There's just not as much food. I know that Central Park had some kiddos last year who were accessing breakfast program. They were utilizing the universal snack program. They were getting lunches at the school, and on the way out the door, they were asking if there was anything they could take home with them. And one of our board members, who is also a teacher at Central Park, was there setting up a couple weeks beforehand and had a few kids come up to her and say, "Is there any food in the school? Is there food yet?" And she had to tell them, "No, there's nothing until the first day of classes, but as soon as class starts, we will have food." So I know that food insecurity is more and more of a challenge for some of our families in Nicolin, and we're just hoping there is a little extra money this year to support them. October. And you will see us sitting on street corners giving away free coffee and hot chocolate. So let's come and say hello, get some free coffee and hot chocolate. We're just out there trying to raise awareness.
So much.
You're welcome.
Where can you donate some money for this?
donate
Yeah.
via email. Do you have an email address?
Yeah.
There, you can stop at the school, you can talk to any of the board members, we're always happy.
Okay.
If you would like a, receipt for your donation, we can do that as well.
Okay.
But, it's paper, there's an email address at the end of it.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I know I think we can take, let me double check that we can take e-transfer. Cause I know we were for a little while and then, so let me just verify with Sean
Okay.
Grassing,
Okay.
she's our treasurer, that we can take e-transfer. If not, we take cash, check,
Okay.
everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just curious, season one, support from the market. Number one, do you have facilities for fruits and vegetables and things like that?
We, at the schools we have refrigerators, they're not very, very big. Central Parks is a little bigger than Wagner's just because Wagner's space is smaller. We have just like a normal sized fridge at Wagner, whereas we have a commercial sized fridge at Central Park. The server is a little bit bigger in there. There's only so much
Yeah.
that we can take as far as fresh fruits and vegetables, but our breakfast coordinator absolutely outstanding. Our breakfast coordinator at Wagner, she bakes every single morning so that those kids have fresh, nutritious muffins, and she makes everything from scratch. Our breakfast coordinator at Central Park uses all sorts of fresh fruits and vegetables in her breakfast to help with those bits of nutrition that maybe kids are missing at home.
So even some staples like flour and sugar.
Yeah, flour and sugar. Those are always good because the girls will use them in their baking.
Another question?
I have already passed the information on to our treasurer. Thank you for having me. No. Bye.
Okay, now. Financial statements for the period ending July 31st, 2025 be approved as presented. Maria is not here today. Does anybody have any questions that they want forwarded on to Maria? Those in favor? The financial reports for September 8th, 2025 be approved as presented. All those in favor? The reports of senior administrative officials reported as items 9.1 to 9.2.7 be received and filed. All those in favor? Carried. That the department monthly reports be received and filed. All right, and with that, we'll start with the CAO.
Thank you. I'd like to point out strategic planning is coming up soon in September. And there was a survey that was forwarded to council and administration. So if you could have that filled out before the 10th of September, that would be fantastic. We're working on the sale of the land for the SOJ, and we were advised by the surveyor that the legal subdivision could take approximately 5 months. So it's not a quick process, but it's in the works. We continue to work on our next program and our government frameworks program for our electronic right? We have more and more farms and we're finding more efficiencies. So it's working well. Anybody has any questions?
Questions for Michelle today? Michelle? Next up is our fire department monthly report, and Paul.
Yeah, so I guess sharps, of course, still taking kind of the big headlines there. We had another big pickup scan was in town beginning of August. They roused a few places in town, and during such time, they had given some warnings of just some individuals, and lo and behold, I had somebody walk up to me on my front lawn and say, "Hey, I have a whole bunch of sharps that I found. They're not mine." So I ended up picking up 630 of them. And unfortunately, it was another big month that way. Overall, lots of calls again. We are on par to we've already passed last year's total, and we're on par probably to have an all-time high for calls in general. MBC is the same thing. I imagine we had 2 more this weekend, so we're at 30. I imagine we'll break that record for the year as well. However, knock on wood, everything that's been happening lately, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of injuries. It's just minor injuries, even with a plane crash and a semi versus truck. Things are going pretty good that way. So, and I will say, when it comes to our sharps problem here in town, we are still seeing massive amounts of packaging, unopened syringes. So again, I will leave that with council. It's not my job to come up with an opinion, but it seems to be that there are so many sharps that they can just discard them without using them. Boxes and boxes, empty boxes everywhere. I was at MTN today going through finding not just sharps, but boxes. So they've been handing them out by the case and the box load. So again, I just food for thought for council. We have also seen Narcan kits in town, which have been used, suggesting that fentanyl and heroin have made their way into town. Again, that's another thing that's a big concern for me because we all know what fentanyl and carfentanil do. Previous to that, our drug problem here was methamphetamine, which is, a different drug altogether. Doesn't generally lead to the overdose problems you see with fentanyl. So I'm hoping this is just an outlier. Maybe we just got a bad batch that snuck its way in. But it's on our radar, so.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments for Paul? Next is our leisure services and Chelsea.
Thank you so much. So we are just winding up summer. It was a really good summer. We were busy with Connect the State. We have a lot of tourism that comes into the and weekends, so that keeps us on our toes. The multi-sport court has pretty well been completed. It is playable now. We do just have some landscaping to do in the area, some benches to add, and garbage cans. Some of that will have to occur in spring 2026, but we will get that. We need that. And it's been busy, which has been really nice to see. So lots of people have been accessing it, and lots in the evening when the lights are on. So it was a good call to put lights there. We are still working on the ball diamond relocation, so that will come to council here soon. We just been busy tying up summer stuff. That is most of what's in our report, unless there's questions.
Questions or comments? I know I've seen a few people in the evening while I've been out and about using the court, so good to see.
And the arena sign.
Yes, the arena sign looks great. It is awesome. It will be amazing once we get it hooked up and working properly. So we're just working out some kinks. We love the picture.
It's working great.
We love the picture. We're just having connection issues, I guess, to a degree. So we are working with the company to get that sorted, but it does look great, and we will hopefully have that much better here soon.
one up, operations and engineering. Jamie.
Really, there's not much to add. I will say that we finished the asphalt repairs down on the Evergreen Services. That is completed. Brookfield sidewalk is finally completed, so we should be done getting calls in about that. And the airport runway repair will be starting here Thursday.
Excellent. Nice to see all these sidewalk projects getting completed.
Yeah, that's real town.
Any questions or comments for Jamie? Right. And last up is our land planning department and Jeff.
Not a whole lot to report on. Basically, we have sent the official community plan off to community planning for their review. I have not heard back yet. They did receive it, but no date as to when it'll be returned. The zoning bylaw, we had a kickoff meeting with Catterall and Wright. That went really well. The team is very eager to start, and they are wanting to do a bit of a presentation to council close to the end of the month or early October. So that'll be something to watch for. We'll send out a couple dates.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions or comments for Jeff? I'm just going to make one comment. You guys did the welcome guide.
Yes.
I got to see that at the welcoming. Actually, really nice, great project to see. So
Good.
it's a welcome guide for people coming to the community. It's available in common languages.
I believe 5 different languages.
Yeah.
We'll send it out.
Sure.
All right, so that is all the department reports. Any other general questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby authorizes administration to submit application to acquire title to the property located at Lot 6, Block 11, Plan VA 1136, Extension 0, title number 138009067, and to commence all necessary actions in accordance with current legislation, and that all outstanding accounts be transferred to the tax roll as recommended by the GM of Corporate Services. Michelle, you just want to make a quick comment?
Sure. The report is pretty self-explanatory that the property has gone through the tax enforcement stage. And after the 6-month notice is issued, after 6 months from that period, we have to go to the
For kids.
Stay safe, Paul.
Sure.
6 months after the 6-month notice is issued, we have to apply for consent from the provincial mediation board. They go through their process, contacting the property owner, and in this case, they issue consent to acquire title. So the next step would be, once we have title, then we would potentially demolish the residence that is on the property. It's not a I don't know that it's salvageable, but then we would advertise it for sale by public tender within 1 year. And anything that we got over and above what is owing on the property would be given back to the property. We get our costs, and then anything over and above it would get back to the property. It's being boarded up for quite some time. There's nobody living in the property.
Questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. That council hereby authorizes administration to permit early termination of the tenancy agreement for the oh, is this the one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I gotta go. I'll hustle them out. I don't want anything to do with it. Hey.
Alright, the council hereby authorizes administration to permit early termination of the tenancy agreement for the property located at Unit B, 804 6th Street East, as recommended by the Chief Administrative Officer. Michelle.
Well, the tenant reached out to me and has purchased a home and would like to end the tenancy agreement. And in order for the town to deny that request, we would have to do our due diligence to re-rent the unit in order to, before we would be able to deny the early termination. And being as we are in the process of acquiring the land from the SHA, and there's only 4 months left in the tenancy agreement, and I just believe that would eliminate the requirement to find a new tenant and then have them move in prior to we purchase the land.
Any questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? Thank you. Welcome back. That council hereby authorizes the town of Nipawin to formally opt into the Safe Public Spaces Street Weapons Act, SS 2024 CS-XX, by passing the required municipal bylaw, thereby enabling the Nipawin RCMP to enforce the legislation within the town's boundaries as recommended by the Chief Administrative Officer. Michelle.
This legislation just received royal assent and came into effect August 1st. And, excuse me, should the town pass the bylaw to opt in, it gives the RCMP the ability to seize weapons such as large knives, machetes, axes, bear spray, hypodermic needles, and illicit substances such as fentanyl and methamphetamine. And they're able to do that without having to press criminal charges. They can, if they see somebody with a weapon, they can approach them, seize it, and then the individual would have to go back down to the station to request the return of the item if it's not an actual being used as a weapon. So this would really, in my opinion, and I reached out to the staff sergeant and he was quite excited about this. He thought it was a great idea. Saskatoon and I believe Moose Jaw just passed the resolution to accept this. And I think it would give the RCMP some more tools in their toolbox to get some of these weapons off the streets.
Any questions or comments?
Maybe I don't fully understand it, but like, some of these weapons and stuff, and fentanyl, still illegal before. The only difference is now is that they don't have to go through all the paperwork of pressing charges.
Right.
That's basically what this is doing. Because they don't have to go through all the paperwork and the court process, charge somebody, they can just take the item without all the paperwork and
That's correct. It's to get it off the streets.
So I was gonna say a lot of this stuff was illegal before.
Now they're just, it's easier for them without all the paperwork.
But you can walk around. Sure. Instead you can walk around, you suspect someone would be. The only thing that I went through my mind is hunting season, hunters, I mean, they're not gonna go out. But if you see someone walking around, probably shouldn't, or isn't a hunter with a knife like that, then yeah. Which in most cases that would be legal. So just give them one.
And they don't have to normally for a knife or something like that. It would have to be currently being used in a crime. Now, if they just see it and you're carrying it down the street, wearing it on your person,
But that was already been fixed, right?
if it's not being used to commit a crime,
Well, that is,
Yeah, you would think, but.
it's literally,
So.
yeah.
In my mind, it's similar to the back alley law. Gives them the opportunity to think, that's my knife. Before they couldn't approach anybody on the alley, now they can.
Right.
Yeah, it opens the door to retrieve the sense of approach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happen.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. The council hereby resolves to discontinue the additional Board of Directors liability insurance coverage for the former Boreal Area Regional Waste Authority Board of Directors past December 31st, 2025, as recommended by the Chief Administrative Officer, Councilor Stewart. Michelle?
When the town purchased the landfill from Barwa, the board of directors at that time requested that the town purchase additional liability insurance for the board of directors for any actions that were made when they were the board of directors. And when we reached out to legal at that time, the lawyer suggested that 2 years would be a sufficient period of time to maintain the insurance. And our insurance is coming due at the end of December, so this is the time to.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby authorizes Nipawin Fire Department to purchase a battery-operated positive pressure fan for the purpose of fire suppression efforts from CHA for the quoted amount of $8,662.52 plus GST and PST, with the funds to come from GL account Protective Services Capital number 421240820, as recommended by the GM of Protective Services. Now, I know Paul just stepped away, so Michelle, would you like to?
Yes, this fan has been on the department's wish list for quite some time now. The command truck came in under budget this year by just about $13,000, so the fire chief thought that was a good time to bring this item up. When the fire department has to provide ventilation in structures, currently they have to use gas or electrical corded appliance fans. And they can't use gas powered fans inside, and if the building has no power, they can't. And they really noticed it when they had the air quality occurrence over at Pioneer House over here, when there was no power. Or no, there was power, but they noticed it, they brought it up again. And so this piece of equipment would use the same batteries as our Jaws of Life, so we wouldn't need to purchase additional batteries for it. So that's his reason for requesting.
questions or comments?
Well, I could, but, it's really good, because dragging those cords and fans all over the place.
Very cumbersome.
Well, the cumbersome, they're hazardous too, because you've got cords going up and down stairs and then a big deal, really. Gas powered, like I said, you can't bring gas powered. Just set up doors.
Sounds like a good idea, and the budget allows for it.
I've got our cordless rechargeable power tools all over the shop. My batteries are always in. So I just kind of batteries, and should we be getting another charger to go with them?
Well, I think that we're going to, oh, honestly, we're gonna have to get some other batteries, or another battery, because you're not gonna pull batteries out of the garage in case you put it in the truck.
Yeah,
They're always gotta be there, it's kinda like leaving the truck empty and putting it in. Gotta be ready. I thought that was about the Makita that it didn't cross over, but we're gonna have to have a spare.
Right, at some point in
Yeah.
time, but in the meantime, they can be switched out back and forth, and I'm maybe speaking out of turn, but I believe that when you need the fan in a building, it shouldn't be needed, hopefully, for the jaws of life, right? And they will absolutely make sure that they have enough battery power too.
I'd be comfortable with us also purchasing a battery, more comfortable with it. And if we need to go out of reserve.
And we're selling the one ninety.
I'd just say,
Yeah.
if we're getting it, just get another battery.
Yeah,
Cause then what if
absolutely.
you get a call and you got a fan blowing here, you're gonna go into a call.
Of course.
You need another battery.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
We'll
why
make sure-
wait? If we're gonna get this thing, let's get it with another battery.
yeah, we'll make sure that.
Never ever seen the jaws of life battery.
Fans are,
It might only be used one charging station, but it's like a battery.
Well, chances are that charging station being rescued.
And you're gonna run it for potentially hours, as well as you can
Sorry.
a couple minutes.
Sorry, shouldn't say that. Yeah, just.
We will ensure we have enough batteries to use.
so should we, make an alteration right now to this resolution? I think that's kind of where.
I don't know, I say we make an alteration to the resolution and buy another battery. And whatever is difference between 13,000 and 11, right?
There will
And
be
that-
enough for.
Or if there's more, if the battery costs that much, so be it. Then we'll just find a reserve.
Yeah,
That one.
absolutely.
I didn't make a recommendation. Ability reserve. we need more.
Oh,
So Kylie, you moved this originally, so basically I just made a note here and purchase an extra battery.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby approves the revised capital grant agreement as presented, and that council hereby approves the legal revisions to the community investment incentive policy as recommended by the GM of Community Services. Councilor Blair. Derek is away, Michelle.
So Derek's report is pretty complete here. Back in early spring, council approved the community investment incentive policy. And so then we had legal draft a capital grant purchasing agreement to ensure that the town, that clearly defines all obligations and it limits our liability and risk when it comes to repayment obligations, risk of default and collection. And yeah, then when legal was drafting the agreement, they made a number of recommendations to the policy itself that they determined should be.
Michelle? Everybody get a chance to read this one? Yeah. Any questions? It's kind of an expansion of the policy that we had, so
Yes, it's adding more legalese to the policy and
a
then,
little bit of protection for us as well.
yeah, and then creating the agreement so that we are protected.
Okay, if there's no questions, all those in favor? The council hereby authorizes the mayor and chief administrative officer to sign the letter of understanding between the town of Nipwood and the Nipwood Junior A Hawks Inc. regarding post-game socials and special events as recommended by the GM of Leisure Services. Okay. And I'll let Chelsea speak.
Sure, thank you. So this is just a small amendment onto their agreement. Southwick and Gaming are requiring more specifics when it comes to their post-game social dates and an event that they're planning to have where liquor will be sold. So I just brought it in front of council to approve the amendment specifying the actual dates.
Straightforward. Thank you, Chelsea.
Apologies, it's all weird on the back page. I have printed out a better copy that's not all spaced funny. I don't know why that did that.
Every now and then I've seen people do that. That's okay. Any questions or comments on this? All those in favor? That the reports of standing and special committees recorded as items 10.1 to 10.1.4 be received and filed. Later. All those in favor? Carried. The council hereby agrees to adopt the traffic control plan as recommended by the Operations Standing Committee at a meeting held September 3rd, 2025. And it is all written up there. Any questions or comments? I believe Jamie wrote this one out. Maybe Jamie, is there anything specific you'd like to touch on in that?
No, it's just that we're gonna be adding some more diagrams of signage and things like that. I'm just waiting for, surrounding communities, if they have one. I just don't want, I just don't wanna get it too, we only have a certain amount of people, so we have to operate within that, with our means. So, I'm just wanna make sure that I'm doing it correctly with, proper signs, things like that for a smaller community. Like, it's easy to pick, like, say, the city of Saskatoon's traffic control plan, but they're dealing with 80 km/h roads, things like that, which we do not. So, the plan is fantastic. It just needs a couple tweaks that will be added here once I get that information.
And the verbiage is there,
Yeah.
it's just some additional diagrams.
Just diagrams and pictures.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor? That the council hereby approves the road maintenance memorandum of agreement with the RM of Nipwood and the Nipwood and District Regional Park Authority as recommended by the Operations Standing Committee at the meeting held September 3rd, 2025. Michelle, do you want to speak to it, or Jamie?
Okay. This is just another 5-year agreement that we've had with the regional park since it's probably, first started. In the summertime, we do all the road maintenance, crack sealing, things like that, and the Armistice one does, removes the snow in the wintertime. And then, of course, if anything big comes down, like some expensive maintenance and things, that's something we've discussed with the RM Mifflin and the regional park to, find funding for it and assist, things like that.
Jim?
Yeah.
Do we have any questions or comments? Jeff?
How far do we go down? Do we go right down to the water for
Go to the gate.
the
And I can just note that the agreement has been sent to both the RM and the regional park. The RM administrator had acknowledged she didn't see any issues with it, but she's taking it to her council, and then the regional park will be taking it to their board as well. So it could come back to council. We proposed it the way it has been for many, many years.
go back to the agreement?
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. That council hereby approves the shingle stockpiling agreement with the RM of Neblin as recommended by the Operations Standing Committee at the meeting held September 3rd, 2025. Blair? And Jamie?
Again, this is just, an agreement with, the RM of Mifflin that we're stockpiling, used shingles at the landfill, for them to use, to get enough to be able to bring a shredding company in to shred, and then they're gonna be using it on the roadways for dust control. And, we just wanted to sign this agreement, to make sure that if they decide they're not gonna do that, then their full cost of moving that material from that stockpile into the pit will cost us nothing.
And this is just a 1 year for their.
This is just
kind
a
of
one,
trial for them.
yeah. I honestly believe it's gonna take a few years of them, stockpiling shingles before they get enough to do like a 4-day shredding. It's gonna be quite tough. But, we'll see with the first year, and then we'll look into it the fall of next.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah.
They've got a test section there. Have we had enough time to,
I think they've only had a couple weeks, but
just couple?
yeah, I think they just did it before they brought to our attention. Isn't that correct, Michelle? So maybe a month.
Oh, so they won't have any idea.
No.
Yeah, I think it'll take a long time of testing it too, just to see how it works.
I'm kind of interested in seeing how it works. With the heat and everything like that, I'm just wondering how hard it's gonna be to grade afterwards.
Stick together, yeah.
In big chunks.
Hopefully they won't need to.
No, hopefully not. Yeah.
When they first brought the request to us, it
Just
hadn't
leave it
been down for very long, but their initial results were positive. They were seeing.
They've done some research too on it.
That's right off the highway on, south side of Quebec. They're heading towards Wapiti.
Okay.
They got from the highway to the train track.
Okay.
I'm mostly excited to keep some out of the land.
Yes, me too.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this agreement? All those in favor? That's carried. The council hereby agrees to enter into a lease agreement with Pepper's Kitchen and Bar for the provision of food and beverage services at the Nipawin Evergreen Center, effective January 1st, 2026, as recommended by the Operations Standing Committee at the meeting held September 3rd, 2025. This one, Chelsea.
Thank you. So I have brought to council, in past council meeting, just that we had, received the bid from Peppers for the restaurant at the Evergreen. We have met with Pam, with Peppers to discuss the lease negotiations, which I brought to, the operations committee last week. Some of the terms are laid out in my report to council. Just one amendment after our meeting, at the operations committee meeting, we discussed changing the rent to be, 1,000 for the month of December, just because she plans to move in, so we wanted to ensure that, insurance was okay, and that content insurance would be covered. So 1,000 for the month of December, and then January and February would be 3,500 each. And then after those 2 months, we would increase to 5,000 a month for the remainder of the term. We're excited to have Peppers. I think it'll be a good fit in the Evergreen. We'll be working with her to just do some repairs and things like that before she moves in. So we have a few public health things that need to be addressed, which we will do at that time. And then just some cleaning up and fixing up a little bit of some things. But other than that, it should be a fairly smooth transition. She will look to open her doors in early January, taking reservations at first, so just a soft opening to begin, and then be ready to go. So, any questions?
All those in favor? Carried. Communications reported as item 11.1 be received and filed. Everybody had a chance to review that. It's just a thank you letter for hosting people in the community. All those in favor? The regular meeting of council recess to a public hearing to hear submissions in support of or in opposition to bylaw number 1200/25, the purpose of which is to sell municipal reserve R15, plan number CG863 at 7:47 p.m. All those in favor? As presiding officer, I hereby declare the public hearing open. This public hearing is established under the authority of Section 24 of the Town of Nipawin Council Procedures Bylaw, number 1170/23. The purpose of this hearing is to hear submissions in support of or against bylaw number 1200/25, dedicated land sales bylaw. Bylaw number 1200/25, dedicated land sales bylaw. I would ask the Chief Administrative Officer to introduce the matter under consideration.
And I'll ask Jeff to provide some information for council.
Thanks. So whenever the municipality is going to sell land that is dedicated as municipal reserve, a bylaw has to first be passed stating that the town will be selling that land and that the proceeds will go to the dedicated land sales account, which can be used on other park space. And so then the public hearing for this bylaw is just if anybody is opposed to that sale, that they can speak and present their opinion to council, or if anybody is in favor of the sale, they can also share that opinion with council as well.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions or comments? So if there's no other requests for information from the administration, I'll ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the matter. Second time, I'll ask if there's anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the matter. And third and final time, I would ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this matter. I would ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak against this matter. A second time, I would ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak against the matter. A third and final time, I would ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak against this matter. I now declare the public hearing closed at 7:50 p.m. That the public hearing be adjourned and the regular meeting of council resumed at 7:50 p.m. All those in favor? council hereby declares the month of October 2025 as Feed a Kid Month in Nipwood, as requested by the Nipwood Nutrition for Kids.
I don't think I've ever missed that one.
Doesn't even give anybody else a chance.
All right, years in a row.
All those in favor? That's carried. That's probably a record for those declarations.
Oh, yeah.
Recurring.
We're gonna start from the-
But I know you show up every time the big one. No better place to put your money.
Then bylaw number 1200/25, being a bylaw to provide for the sale of dedicated lands, be read a second time. Stuart? Everybody had a chance to read through the bylaw? Any questions or comments? All those in favor? It's carried. That bylaw number 1200/25, being a bylaw to provide for the sale of dedicated lands, be read a third time and finally adopted. Councilor Blair. Last opportunity, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's good. Bylaw number 1203/25, being a bylaw to regulate maintenance and provide for the abatement of nuisances in the town of Nipwood, be introduced and read a first time. Councilor Vic. All right. I'm gonna maybe pass this one off for some updates. Mr.
Sure.
Goodwin.
There's quite a lot of housekeeping items in this bylaw, in the definitions and whatnot, so I'm going to go past that to the actual changes. So there's a definition added for notice to remedy uninhabitable conditions. That's for if a residence is not.
Mention the page number as well.
Pardon?
Just mention the page number as we're going through the leaking.
Okay, I will go to the next major change here. Okay, section 10, building components. It just identifies that the structural components of every building, what is involved in that, what is encompassed by the structural components, and that they have to be maintained in a safe condition and capable of performing the function they were intended to perform. And then I'm going to go down to exterior walls, section 12. And it provides a little bit of additional requirements that they have to be made of materials that provide adequate protection from the weather. And they have to be free of holes, breaks, and rotting boards, timbers, etc. Section 14, roofs. It provides some additional information for roofs that they have to have fascia boards, soffit, cornice, splashing. They have to be maintained watertight condition. Loose materials have to be removed from the roof as soon as it's possible to do. Water running off a roof has to be carried away from the building so it doesn't cause dampness and eventually rot and create a hazardous condition. Eaves, troughs, and downspouts have to be added. Section 15 identifies chimneys and that they were required to be maintained in good repair and free of defects, and have all defective masonry or metal components repaired or replaced, and that they must be kept clear of obstructions. There we go down to its section 26 was added that the cost of repairing any buildings that were declared unfit for habitation, that they must be removed or demolished. And we've added in that the cost is the responsibility of the property owner. Section 28 identifies that every dwelling must have a toilet, wash basin, and a bathtub or shower. Section 31 has been added. The next few sections have been added, and that nobody is the owner, property owner, or person living in the property or cause or permit an unoccupied building to become damaged or deteriorate in a state of disrepair, such that it is an imminent danger to public safety. It cannot permit the land to be overgrown with weeds or grass, unless, of course, it's a natural garden, then do that. It cannot have an untidy property with loose, used lumber, cardboard, newspapers, appliances, junk vehicles, section 34. Those were already in the previous bylaw. They just, rather than having everything, the legal recommended that they all be separated into their own categories for the purposes of issuing orders to remedy. And refrigerators and freezers, section 43, that the latches, hinges, and doors, lids must be removed. Walkways or driveways, section 44, must be maintained and have safe passage. And section 48, that every dwelling unit shall provide a safe and sanitary environment for occupants and shall comply with all applicable standards relating to health, safety, structural integrity, and sanitation as required under this bylaw and any other applicable act. Section 51 identifies that a designated officer may inspect any dwelling unit, and that would be a building official, a health official, a law enforcement officer, and they can declare the property unfit for human habitation if it presents an immediate or ongoing risk to health or safety, if it contains significant deficiencies related to sanitation, structural integrity, electrical or fire safety, or pest infestation, if it lacks basic utilities, or if it violates the bylaw. Now, once a property has been found in contravention under those sections, the designated officer can issue notice to remedy, along with the deadline to comply, which is for not less than 14 days, unless they deem a shorter time is necessary for health and safety reasons. Section 53 says that once a property has been declared unfit for human habitation and there's a notice to remedy, then no person shall lease, rent, or allow occupancy of the property. So once it's been declared unfit, then nobody is allowed to live in there until there's a reinspection and clearance provided by that official. And section 55 outlines the section of the Municipalities Act that the town may add fees to the tax roll for inspections and administration and enforcement costs, which is allowed by the Municipalities Act. So this just clarifies it. And then section 56, cost recovery, outlines the initial inspection fee of $1,000. And that is, should they not comply with the notice, with the order to remedy, then the first inspection fee would be $1,000, which can be added to the property taxes. And should there be a subsequent inspection required, the reinspection fee would be $2,500 for each inspection. And any other additional costs incurred by the municipality will also be added to the tax roll. Adding section 67, adding to the tax roll, it just outlines that again. Oh, it was Appendix B. I apologize, but Appendix B, excessive nuisance abatement fees. Police nuisance response and abatement service call was $195, recommended to increase that to $250. And town staff calls for nuisance abatement were $50 an hour, and that's recommended to be increased to $100 per call. That's changes that were recommended by our legal.
Pretty big changes in there that I think are going to rock the rental.
Very happy to see.
So, do we have any questions? Les?
I do, and it may be a moot point, but number 28, sanitary facilities, every dwelling unit shall be provided with. Should it be provided with a functioning toilet, wash station, and bathroom?
Yes, we can say with functioning, yeah, we can have that word.
Well, we have to have that water.
They need water.
Pardon?
That means we have to have water.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, we could add that word, I think, pretty straightforward for each of those lines. Any other questions or comments on this one?
The comment. Good job, Michelle. I'm happy to see this. I know it was a lot of work, but I'm very, very happy to see this.
I think we're all going to be happy to see this and
Yep.
see how it affects things going
Yep.
forward.
Absolutely.
I believe they're already kind of starting to talk to people that this is coming down the pipeline as well from the community to warn them that we'll be coming in with force.
Mhm.
This is,
Absolutely.
all right, all those in favor, don't raise your hands too high.
Yeah.
Yes. That is carried. Okay, then bylaw number 1203/25 being a bylaw to regulate maintenance and provide for the abatement of nuisances in the town of Nipawin be read a second time. Rick?
We hear it all again.
I can.
No, okay. Another opportunity, lines, questions, comments. All those in favor? It's carried. That bylaw number 1203/25 be given 3 readings at this meeting.
That's what I was thinking.
All those in favor? It's carried. That bylaw number 1203/25 being a bylaw to regulate maintenance and provide for the abatement of nuisances in the town of Nipawin be read a 3rd time and finally adopted. Councilor Newport. Any questions, comments? Nope. All those in favor? All right. So moving on to the round table. Why don't we start with Stacy?
Boy, it's pretty quiet in mine.
All right. We'll move on to Les.
It has been quiet, but we've had a few things happen over the last, since we were here last. We were in invited by, one of the councilors from the community of Star City to go and watch the football game last weekend. So we went and hang out with her husband and, got to learn a little bit more about the town of Star City and on there. And happy to announce that, they've taken delivery of their fire truck. Remember, they were donated that fire truck from the community of Archibald. So they've taken delivery of that and they're excited to, well, not excited to help fight fire, but it's an awesome thing for them to have in their community. Without one. Enjoyed the football game, Riders won. We came home. And, on a personal note, we went to the Tisdale Car Show in Tisdale and the Daryl Davis car show at the Dog River at the museum in Tisdale. There was over 100 cars there. It was a fantastic day. The weather was nice. Lots of people out. Had a good time there. Met some more people. And we came home and then we had a meeting with our Minister of Social Services at the Evergreen and enjoyed a beautiful lunch at the spot. And got some great information and passed on some information to the minister, and he's going to take back and do some legwork. So that was a very important meeting, very important contact, and good job there, Zach Rice, for facilitating this. It's like you said, the third minister that has come now, and I think it's important that we get out, and when they do come, that we get out and participate, and so that they know that we're listening to them, we recognize that they're needed. It's a good outlet for them. What else did I have in my mind? I guess oh yeah, one other thing, another car show. This probably my favorite car show of the season was up at the Pine View Nursing Home on this past Sunday. Another beautiful day, lots of cars out, but it was a fundraiser for their activities. Well, and it was so neat to see the seniors out. They got out in the sunshine in wheelchairs and they were going around and looking at all the old vehicles and probably reminiscing. Somebody was really a special time. It's probably my favorite car show. But, that was lots of personal stuff, council stuff. It was just one meeting with the minister, which was very important. And that was my time.
Thank you. Kylie.
I came to that one special meeting of council, and then besides that, I just got back into the role of kids going back to school last week, which is a bit of an adjustment again. But no, nothing too exciting.
Was it harder than pulling teeth?
Always, always. The teeth part's easy.
Kylie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty quiet. I was at that special meeting just via the phone. Been really busy getting my daughter to university, so she started there. Got her moved into her new suite. Yes, I managed to complete that in the 11th hour. I was healing up and finish that project. But only 240 hours was that's a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
Anyways, Bears football, right? So thanks to everybody. We managed to grab a whole bunch of your vocals. I don't know if it came to your houses, but they have me in the entire section. We probably raised $6,000 or $7,000. Bottle pickup. Oh yeah, it was massive. That's huge. It's the, we had a lot of the kids out going door to door, just grabbing trucks and just people sorting and we took off. A lot of us did that. But, yeah, so I know the community's listening and the Bears are very thankful for all the donations. It goes towards proper helmets that are going on my kid's head, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jeff. And I haven't forgotten about you, Lisa.
Well, that's nice of you. I was wondering, I was saying it was mine. It's been very quiet for me since our last council meeting. I did attend a special meeting of council, but that unfortunately was all that I was able to make it to. Although I did get out to take advantage of the incredible weather we had over the long weekend to get a little camping in. So that's it.
Thank you, Lisa. Glad you got to go out and do some camping. All right, so for myself, I had a few things on the go since our last meeting. So August 12th actually was the Minister of Health, Jeremy Cockrell, in town. So we were at the Evergreen Center there for lunch. We talked about Sharp's concerns. doctor and nurse retention, some of the lack of services that people are talking about within the hospital system here. Talked about hospital infrastructure and investment for our local facility, and the need for minor emergency. So those are things that we brought to the table. We'll be in communication with them again, likely in the next few months, just as a follow-up. On August 13th, I had a fire partners meeting where we discussed wildfire updates and talked about the SPSA a little bit. August 14th, we had a newcomers welcome. You saw the letter of thanks from that group today. So it's kind of interesting to have a group of people come in and kind of look for job opportunities within our little area here. They've expressed an interest in being back again next year as well. On August 22nd, I participated in the Panhandler Golf Tournament, which was a very successful event this year that raised over $90,000. So that's money that will be reinvested here in the community. August 29th, we had our special meeting of council. September 3rd was the operations, where we talked about everything we covered tonight. September 5th, as was mentioned, was the Minister of Social Services, Terry Jensen. So some things that we touched on during that meeting was mental health and addictions, including harm reduction, SHARPs, and the lack of long-term supports and solutions for those that are on a path to recovery. We also talked about housing and the lack of affordable housing, derelict housing, funding for groups that work with vulnerable people within our community, child safety, and we did also have an interesting discussion about business licensing for landlords. So just a little sneak peek, actually. I thought Michelle might have mentioned this earlier. Thank you for letting me make it. We're actually planning a meeting with North Battleford at the request of the Social Services Minister to get on board with them and potentially help work with them on this bylaw issue. So it is at the front of mind, and they've been working with Battleford the whole time. So looking forward to seeing the progress we make in the next few months to a year, I'm guessing. It's a slow process creating that bylaw. So that's kind of what I've been up to. Yeah, and as you guys said, this is our third, we've had 3 ministers now in the last few months, which is a pretty big deal for Nipawin. We're getting back on the map, I think, with our provincial government. Hopefully down the road, what that will turn into is extra funding and things like that. So we'll open it up to the public forum. It's pretty busy at that end of the table. Yeah. All right. That the regular council meeting of September 8th, 2025 be closed with Mayor Zacharias in the chair pursuant to section 122A of the Municipalities Act and citing exemptions contained in the Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act under section 16, advice from officials, and section B, concerns long range or strategic planning at 8:13 p.m. All those in favor? That's carried.
Wait for the people on camera.
See you later.
Yeah.
Before Jeff cuts it off.
Yep.